What's going on, guys? I am Dom of X coming at you with a brand new series that I hope gets integrated to the channel. And of course, I have my friend Riley here, who was gracious enough to take time off of his Fridays to have fun with me on this experiment.
Hey everyone, glad to be on one of the best YouTube channels, I think in my humble opinion, talking about collected editions and comics. We're gonna be able to see Dom's rankings of some comics, and we're gonna be able to flame him when he messes up, inevitably.
Now, to explain what Riley is talking about, we have decided to bring over something that I have seen people do on sports networks and also gaming networks, which is blind rankings, and we have a list of 5 rules that we are going to abide by.
So, there will be 10 comics given blindly to Dom, and he will not know what the comics are until he gets to that one.
And when I am given a comic, I will have to place it on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being the highest and 10 being the lowest.
And the tricky thing is he cannot go back and change his ranking once he's settled something into stone. So, if he puts something really cool high, that's good, but then maybe something even better he can't put higher.
On top of that, Riley is going to be in charge of the books that are selected. Dom literally has zero control over what is on these lists.
And just to make things interesting, Dom will be blindfolded through the entire exercise in case y'all think he's lying or cheating or committing any other heinous misdemeanors that we all know Dom loves to commit.
Exactly. That's why they call me the Punisher. How did you come about with the thought process on these 10 comics?
Well, so I'm not like a TikTok algorithm, so I don't just have a bunch of pre-generated things that I can like randomly go through a filter and then select what to pick. So I did like a 10 randomly generated letters, and then I picked like 10 comics that started with those letters, and then I assigned each one a number, and then did a random number generator to determine the order in which I will be feeding them to Dom. And yeah, that's how I picked them, and it's going to be interesting to see where he ranks these things, I think.
I have the blindfold, and I will be rambling as much as possible. And obviously, when we get to whatever the end of this is, we are going to be doing characters, we're going to be doing different teams, we're going to be ranking a whole bunch of other different things. And maybe it's just all miscellaneous, and obviously everything is subjective. The only problem is when my subjectivity leads to an inevitable, I accidentally put Mark Waid and Alex Ross's Kingdom Come at number 10, and Dark Knight Strikes Again ends up at number 2. Don't look at me. That is the whole point of this exercise. So we hope you enjoy this, and be sure to smash that like button, hit the subscribe button if you're brand new and want to see more of this, and let me know down in the comment section below what you would have ranked these as if you were blind. So let's go ahead and get to it.
So the first comic, I haven't read this one myself. We have Ascender and Descender from Jeff Lemire and Dustin Nguyen.
Ooh, dude, I actually reread that. I read that series while I was in Canada back in 2023, and I had the most wild experience reading that stuck in my cabin without any Wi-Fi, just injected with a lot of Lemire's style that I loved. And Ascender is also the perfect knock-up to Descender as well. Here's the problem. I have no idea what else you picked. I know that you probably put one mid thing in here to throw everything off, but I'd feel upset because like this is my favorite Lemire book. It has some of my favorite Dustin Nguyen art too. I think I'm gonna put this at number 4. I'll put Ascender at number 4. Hopefully 3 things are better, and hopefully the 6 things are. I do think that high of it, and it's a beautiful book too. It's a beautifully well done emotional book, so I'll put it at number 4.
He's easily one of the most talented artists, I think, in the industry. And just everything he works on is just gold, man. Respectable number 4. Next up, we got V for Vendetta.
God damn
the
it,
iconic Alan Moore title.
No! I hate you. Oh my gosh. I don't know where I want to put this. I want to put it in my top 3, but subjectively, I do think there are other books that I enjoy more than V for Vendetta. I hate you. I hate you. I regret putting Ascender at number 4 because I can already see somebody in the comment section saying, Dom, Alan Moore is the greatest writer of all time.
Do you even read comics, bro?
That's what I'm saying. That's the equivalent of me like ending this thing with Watchmen and having it slotted at number 9. You know what? I'll put V for Vendetta at 5.
You what?
Someone is going to flame me down in the comments section, but I'm setting myself up right now so that if I do get a worse comic later, I can feel safe and comfortable knowing that V for Vendetta isn't all the way smacked down at the bottom at 10. I think that's fair.
That's very fair. And again, just because there's 10 comics here, you could like them all, and it's just which one you like the least. This ranking does not mean certain books are bad, ladies and gentlemen. It just means Dom thinks they're bad.
I'm gonna die.
Next up, we have some Avengers. You like the Avengers, right?
I love the Avengers.
Well, where would you place Jason Aaron's Avengers run?
Oh, I'm putting that at 10. No hesitation. This was my first book of his that I've read, and none of it vibed with me, with the exception of like one specific part that got us a Jed McKay Moon Knight book.
Aaron had a lot of really cool ideas. Like, I think a tournament to determine the Phoenix and like a race between all the Ghost Riders. I think they're all like really incredible. And I think the ideas were really good. I just think I didn't personally vibe with a lot of the execution either. Since writing Avengers, I think Jason Aaron's at the top of his game since then. I mean, he's doing Absolute Superman, which is my personal favorite Absolute book right now. And he's doing Ninja Turtles. Next up will be All New X-Men by Brian Michael Bendis.
So here's the thing. I think the idea of having the 05 set forward in regular continuity and experiencing the same tribulations as the 616 current heroes is stupid. I think Brian Michael Bendis does a really fantastic job with the characterizations, the settings that they're placed in, and I actually do really like this run. It's also spectacularly illustrated by Stuart Immonen, who every single page just pops out. My favorite moment of this as well, if you read this concurrently with a lot of the other Marvel Now titles that have certain creators on it, like Rick Remender's Uncanny, and you see Havoc's speech that he has in his book, Bendis's response to it with Kitty Pryde in All New is like absolutely perfect. So I am going to put this at number 6. I don't think it's as bad as people say. Some people tell me it's like one of the worst books ever, and I completely disagree. I also don't think it's the worst of the bunch, and at the same time, it's Stuart Immonen and then later Mahmoud Asrar with colors by Marta Gracia. I'm going to put it at 6, and I think I'm comfortable with that.
Yeah, well, I know we've talked about that book before, which I think is one of the reasons I picked it, is because it's a book that gets dogged on a lot, and I think it's very unfair in many ways. And I think that maybe as time goes on, people will appreciate it a bit more. Next up, we have It's Jeff by Kelly Thompson and Guru.
This is a setup. This is a setup for something, and I don't know what else. You know what? I'm going to put this at number 2. I think just for like the pure enjoyment, and I know that somebody out there is going to tell me, you put V for Vendetta at 5 and It's Jeff at 2. Shut up. I think the simplicity of this comic on top of Kelly Thompson doing so much with so little dialogue to work with, if at all, makes the book magical. It gives you not only the sense of cuteness and adorableness, but the way that she manages to give Gurihiru the space to work with this land shark that, again, no dialogue, no words, just actions. It gives you just a great, enjoyable read. And that's why I'm going to put it at number 2. I feel like there's going to be something that's better than this that I like more. Yeah, I really do feel strongly about this comic, and everybody should read it. That's actually another thing too. It's a perfect book for those who are trying to get into the medium and seeing what people can do. Now, granted, I didn't say that about V for Vendetta, which also applies to that comic book. For my own personal sense, and knowing the type of people around me who read comic books and also don't read comic books, I think this is perfect for people in our demographic. So that's why it's number 2.
Yeah, I think I agree with a lot of your points. It's very cute. It's very fun. And I think that it has really good comedy writing, which I think is one of the things that a lot of comic fans don't appreciate as much, is when it comes to really smartly written comedy. And I think that It's Jeff is one of the best comedic books that I've personally experienced from the big 2 and just comics in general in the past couple years. And obviously, it being number two has nothing to do with, the fact that you've interviewed Kelly Thompson and you need to keep your guests, you got to keep your guests happy. So I think that's gonna be the takeaway, y'all. If Jeff is better than V for Vendetta, we have Wonder Woman by George Perez.
Oh, I hate you. I hate you so much. I what he did for Diana right after the stages of Crisis on Infinite Earths cannot be understated. It cannot be thrown away. And a lot of people who are trying to understand who Wonder Woman is as a character and what her mission is as far as being a superhero goes needs to read this run at some point, not only for the spectacular art, but for the reimagining of the mythos, so to speak, in the late 80s. So this is an interesting one for me because I do feel very highly about it, but at the same time, I don't know what tricks you have up your sleeve, and I'm very glad that you threw the Avengers by Aaron out there quickly, so I don't feel as bad with doing this. It's a phenomenal run. I'll put it at 7.
You believe that Wonder Woman by George Perez is inferior to Brian Michael Bendis' all-new X-Men.
This is so... No.
I'm not saying that there should be misogyny allegations thrown out there. I'm just saying a little suspicious, if you get what I'm saying.
I hate that I put All New X-Men over Wonder Woman by Perez. I think Bendis would say the same thing to me too. That's what sucks. That's what actually sucks about this.
This should be a fun one. Next up, we have Chip Zdarsky's Spectacular Spider-Man run, specifically. Not Life Story, not Spider Shadow, specifically his Spectacular run.
I really like Chip Zdarsky's voice for Peter, and it's actually a shame to see that he has virtually refused under every circumstance to write a 616 book on Peter Parker. It made a lot of sense for me to think, can Chip Zdarsky be bigger than Spectacular Spidey? But it seems like with his career trajectory, that's never going to happen. And it's unfortunate. But the beauty of his Spectacular run is being able to throw Peter Parker into a lot of inducing emotional moments. I think once you get past that first arc, that's when the run takes off. I'm going to put it at number 3, and I'm comfortable with it being there.
Yeah, I think that it is... it's definitely... I haven't read it myself, but I've obviously seen a lot of the panels and pages, and Zdarsky really gets Spider-Man. And yeah, I think that you're not really going to be upsetting anyone by putting it at number 3 until, maybe yourself when you see what we have left on the list.
This is not going to be good.
So next up, we have Adventures of Superman, John Kent by Tom Taylor and Clayton Henry.
I'm really glad that I held those 2 bottom spots because I do think there were interesting moments to be had with John, but I think a lot of the problem has actually come from DC sort of stepping in and forcing an age up with him with Bendis Superman. And here's the thing, I am one of the people in the minority that doesn't hate Bendis Superman, but it has lended itself to this interesting aspect of we had this kid who was slated up to be, hey, you're not going to be like your dad. I remember reading issue number 6 of Tomasi and Gleason's Superman run where it was pretty much, hey man, you can be better than your dad. You don't have to be your dad. And then all of a sudden he gets thrusted into this role as Superman while Clark Kent is in Warworld trying to fight for his life against Mongul. I'm very comfortable with putting this at number 9. I don't think this is one of Taylor's strongest books at DC. I think if you want to look for some of his better works, it's all the Elseworld stuff that I think lends itself to a lot of Taylor's strengths. I just don't think this was a good fit for Taylor. I think everything that he was trying to say about Superman just felt stunted. And maybe it's because Philip Kennedy Johnson had the stronger opposite title going on. But I just don't think with this Williamson's Superman, it's definitely one of the lowlights for me as far as the recent input of Infinite Frontier and Dawn of DC continuity goes.
Me personally, I agree with a lot of what you said. I think this book was kind of kneecapped from the beginning in terms of it was only 6 issues. I think that really hurt it. I wouldn't be surprised if Taylor expected to have a longer run, but he had to condense everything into just 6 issues because you have like the Earth 2 characters like Val Zod and Red Tornado Lois They just kind of disappear after issue 2, and then they have 4 issues to work with the Injustice world. And it felt like a lot of different ideas that I think I will give Taylor credit. I think they're all very interesting ideas. I think him seeing an alternate version of his mother and an alternate version of his father, both of which had either tragic or evil destinies. I think that could have been a very interesting story to tell. And I do give credit to Taylor for those ideas. I just think that it was a little crowded. I think that's another thing to keep in mind is whenever there's a book that isn't necessarily your favorite thing, there's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes of all time, like in all companies. And it's not always the people whose names are on the cover's fault about why you don't like that book for various titles. Having conversations like this, I think, is good to have.
I agree.
So we have 2 left, number 1 and number 8. Next book, Detective Comics by James Tynion IV.
Oh, I hate you! No! No! Oh, no! Why did I leave that one spot open? I should have just put Jeff on top. This sucks, man. Oh, no. I do not want to get stuck. So here's the thing. I cannot have my number 1 stuck. If you throw out All-Star Batman and Robin by Frank Miller and Jim Lee, and I just land that as my number 1, I cannot afford that. But at the same time, if this actually ends up being the good book, I can't just have this sitting there at number 8 or number 1 or whatever it might be. So this is a hard decision for me. You know what? I'm going to put it at number 1. I think this is the book that not only put James Tynion on the map for everybody to see, it is the template for what a good Bat Family book looks like. You want to talk about the way that he balances between characters and giving them time to shine, the search for Tim Drake and what he did there, and putting back Stephanie and Cassandra Cain on the block as far as important characters are concerned, and having them do interesting stuff along with everything that he did with Clayface. It is one of the best Batman runs ever that we've had in the last 12 to 15 years, and considering the amount of Batman runs that we've had and all of the good stuff that I have to say about them, I do think that it deserves its honorary status as one of the best pieces in modern Batman history. And to some, it might be okay, but to me, I do think it's a great story about family. It's a great story about taking care of those who love you, and vice versa, and also one about pain and suffering. And I think Tynion gets all the voices for everybody down, and he's one of the only people who have made me care about Azrael. So big credit to Tynion.
The other person being Dan Waters, I would imagine, with the wonderful Sword of Azrael.
I concur.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty worthy number 1, I think I would say, especially out of this lot. Like, obviously, V for Vendetta, Wonder Woman by Perez are very seminal runs, but I think the argument could be made this is also a very seminal run because, as you said, Tynion really mastered the Bat Family in this. And I think one of the reasons why ever since then, fans have been very like hungry for more Bat Family content, and they've been very like, oh, I'm unfortunately Stephanie Brown or Azrael aren't really in any books right now, and it's unfortunate and it sucks, and I sympathize. And I think one of the reasons why Bat Fam fans have gotten very like needy, not needy in a bad way, but like very like hungry for quality content, is because Tynion just knocked it out of the park so well and like showed how effectively he could fit so many characters into one title and never make it feel crowded. And then also a character like Batwoman in there, I think was really interesting, and it did a lot for her. So yeah, I think that is a pretty solid ranking. So your number 8 spot will be That Texas Blood by Chris Condon and Jacob Phillips.
I feel so bad now because that is legitimately one of my favorite indies in the last couple of years. It is super well done and also I think underrated in some cases. You know what? I wouldn't have minded that being number 1, but I will say, like, I put V for Vendetta and Wonder Woman by Perez behind. No offense to anybody there. Like, It's Jeff, a Descender, Ascender. Oh, no. Do not flame me in the This was not my fault, y'all.
No, you should flame him. It's his fault. Let's all start hashtag cancel Dom in all the comic book forums because how are we gonna let this slide?
This is actually unfortunate. I put V for Vendetta at number 5. If you haven't yet, check out our website, comicreleases.com, my and Webhead's love letter to comics, a hotspot where you can finally figure out what's coming out, when, from what place. Our unique upcoming website tracker in the Collected Editions tab makes sure that you're on top of every single collected edition coming out on the market with release date updates to the minute, from the tiniest graphic novels to the giant Generator Deluxe hardcovers as large as an absolute. Our unique spreadsheet not only gives out the most accurate information out there, but our format also filters and ensure that you can find your books as quickly as possible. The tracker also gives out links to domestic and international retailers so that you can purchase your comic books at the snap of a finger. We are also proud to host monthly solicitations as per given by the publishers that generously send us information to give to you all. From the Ultimate Universe to the creator-loved Oceans and Universes, we specialize in giving you the most readable format of solicitations without any of the annoying advertisements. If you also donate to our Patreon at just $2 a month, which is less than a coffee at Starbucks, you will receive access to a special watch list dedicated to individually tracking items that are on your wish list, past or present. Place in your tracking number and make sure that these books also not only come in safe, you can even put in special comments on these as well. On top of that, your name will also show up at the end of every single Dom of X video creates as a huge thank you. That is comicreleases.com. For more information, check this out down in the description. If you also want to contact me or Webhead, check the contact forms down in the description or email me down in the description. But if you want to see more of these blind rankings, let me know down in the comments section. I hope to make it a staple of the Dom of X at some point, if not the point in the future. And if you want to see more of this and more of Riley, let me know in the comments section down below and give me some ideas on what themes that we could do the next time we do these blind rankings. But that's going to be it from me. Riley, do you have anything to say to these people?
Yeah, it's been an absolute blast just recording this, and I think that it's gonna be. I hope y'all really enjoy it because I think it's something I had a lot of fun doing, and Dom, I believe in all his poor opinions. I think he also very much enjoyed it, and yeah, so I hope that y'all leave a like, subscribe, all that stuff. I gotta plug the channel, obviously. Because Dom's just so humble and modest, he could never beg for subs and likes, unlike me. I have no shame. So, yeah, comment down, as Dom said, what you'd like to see Dom give the incorrect rankings for next time. It could be X-Men characters, superhero teams, you name it. If y'all want to flame Dom on any particular subject, name it.
That's going to be it from me. I'm Dom of X, you be you. Take care and dominate the day wherever you go.